Is everyone good?
Not yet. 1 second. Open. Okay, I'm good.
Plan the United States not just essentially reduces military presence in the Republic of Turkey. A removal will be safe and convert Christian. 19. Another option be small boss leadership to make over upgrading construction U.S. soldiers. U.S. can slow up modernization, never turn the bombs out. Relations. Minnesota time for dysfunctional lasting will be saved by President. Advantage 1 is security. Turkish tactical news costs Russian miscalculation. 16. Your warranty potential piece that is likely use finding and sold bureau detector your traffic. Your closely monitor calling and you can provide your crisis to the Moscow tend to use to go on trying first with the U.S. Navy turn ratio and NATO ally Russia could use the still missile the Black Sea Mediterranean both reaches so minutes and Americanization for dual kill aircraft could be triggered as we consider first place. Statistically pick up and draw postures are worse for deterrence and trigger Russian preemption that's unique to Turkey. 16. B61 base building after the pick up drop approach. The posture Turkey dropped first and automated determination boss is supposed to support in every case military coast station. As aircraft Turkey to surface level below would allow the U.S. to carry bombs to U.S. military stations. A wing in Turkey. The risk is high now. Ukraine became Russian early warning infrastructure makes accidental escalation likely. Shipler 22. Putin outside nuclear Russian system are due to be vulnerable to areas that are not making more likely to be high tension leaders. 10 minutes make decision. Ambiguity can spark all one nation misinterpret events such as training exercise Russians lack adequate monitoring their material and dangerous textual. Russian doctrine emphasizes first strikes pride. 20. Russian doctrine puts emphasis on striking first martial possible relying on ST business efforts for cycle trial and to matter. Russian war causes the extinction of Honduras. 17. Nuclear war between US and Russia after could be much worse than possible to go for extinction. Only possible to the US and Russia who 90% of wants to reach the war likely to extinction. Independently Turkey will steal the nukes to give them to Hamas. Hip 1122. Everyone called these military state to talk Hamas resist fighting Hamas murder pieces was in all game pieces. This is also sorry Turkey did not want NATO to create one come out so prohibited place to take off nukes the in strong level stable lost Turkey does fit this next year defense is overly optimistic only the plan establishes nuclear security Ruben in 20 Iran inside 19 Americans regularly the coup Iran stage how to electricity based Turkey suffer national center wants distracting by the rest personnel plan for back Russian nukes episode due to close to John years the use and afford rate welcome into presence episode like nuclear terror causes extinction arrest 19 nuclear powerful city war terror assassination responsible for the government strikes terror strong the regions like combat such nuclear US reaction to reaction with nuclear conflict can see that involve every nuclear state what the entire species advantage to is expansion Turkish revisionism is an existential threat to the liberal order Iran's policy will destabilize the Mediterranean and make war inevitable to ZR's 12-7 Two key takeaways that Iran has to persist was authoritarianism, certain nationalism occur in the next phases of the way control and Mexico out of the place page Johnson road ahead is to make a clear distinction between the national adjustment while strategic goals their conservation policy to Western North democracy and peace of its policy civilization context subject to compensation of Turkey's global order evidence by Russia based on multiple remains conflict consistent NATO and the UKTC collaboration temporary by design to maintain control and discourage region fears balances sacred tensions crisis and stability the world is undergoing transition because American orders specific remains unclear alliance collapse is inevitable Turkey is already pursuing security agreements with Russia and enabling extremism element 1-5 under Erdogan relations with Republic no longer an ally who's after China Russia Christians the asked for enable extremely forces zero launch airspace part of South America as hostages refuse sanctions key destination for loose support for Hamas right offices preparing hostages use these procure funds. The plan is key. Erdogan uses military presence as bargaining chip involving Russia constant 23 reminding Erdogan also will be pushed to support South American forces from Seoul State National Let's that Erdogan speaks to Trump message Russia use with the West resolve is completely we should find Turkish members indispensable to increase less support than Greece and Romania from the clash of Turkish and its operations pursue cooperation with Israel with there's most for closure for cooperation Philippines as the Prime Minister needs that Turkey would let Russia a sense of like unambiguous US pressure is necessary Turkey weaponizes US in action and inducements to expand into West Asia leads us in 20 equivalent approach to Israel one is not going to adopt prospective US not going to States Turkey South messages to Carter is not going to tolerate the even Mediterranean while Washington encourages Turkey to implement revisions plans Mediterranean US presence Kurds to Moscow and Turkey's divisions is encouraging public continue policy with no consequence Turkey is not managed other Western elements will follow the world direct preservation treaty as long as usually strong about the possibility of crisis Turkish always have revisions and hesitancy does not help Turkish culture be considered weakness solutions will get international time for America to adopt the substance that draws in France Israel and Egypt escalates Subsautos in 20 Turkey's policy in the Middle East and Africa Erdogan's first stage in the Mediterranean Black Sea Turkey's at odds with Algeria is used in relation with nations and they especially between Russia and competitions are located in Istanbul West and research on oil and gas trade and NATO's advantage to competition between Turkey Greece France Egypt is no longer unthinkable Israel drawn goes nuclear farley 20 origins based on nuclear problem in the 3 states with military eventual question Israel creates series of weapons and balance out of its major that senior small possible which is more tolerant neighbors Turkey policy much negative direction you want to part until good France goes nuclear 17 France would encourage order our soldiers to second for return phase is too small never set a limit of war set was an ultimate warning which will let the escalation grow for credibility but since we had more time France and small arsenals are vulnerable to preemptive attack and the risk of version will probably be offset by Russia's deployed weapons and proximity Turkey proliferation is impossible security arguments are all hype Article 5 solves and multiple capability hurdles August 23 No evidence against the possibility of Turkey. Nuclear capabilities not in the title capacity. IAEA exam confirmed and super balls to reduce predicting on my capabilities based on fast Turkey. Last uranium mining conversion, enrichment fabrication, reduced supply based on around design with nuclear until versus the only possibility to burn and to pursue a program will demonstrate 100% just the CL plus line with the historical approach is more practical to rely on NATO's extended deterrence. They're politically constrained for proliferating Hamilton. 23 Turkey direction away NATO. The West hostile center Turkey pursuing equals which change relationship with NATO jeopardize EU membership. Turkey believes that the MPT is irreplaceable. Any action would necessitate complete withdrawal for non-proliferation alliances and gender partnerships. subject to federal company sanctions. Turkey's current offensive doesn't change its revisionist with Shahid. 21 Turkey ministers and talks into diplomatic provisions. Iran is moving back with aspiration for reversal of sanctions. Israel enjoyed attention. Aviation seek through disclosed dealings. There is a possibility of fractures of voice of global binders and explorers do not be surprised if after Biden settled, Erdogan returns attacking Europe. Framing. The standard is maximizing its federal being. Extinction awaits. Billions of deaths. Burns. 17. It is good for people to assist in existential reward. Crime people that burns people. Technical deaths will be the loss of the only known form of intellectual life. Means capacity for rationality valuable in itself. These people would dare physical pain people. Premature deaths. There would be very psychological effects. Mental hope. Still be no mechanisms and that your projects will end with you. Okay. I'll send this after. Fiat is valuable regardless of the plans likely of occurring. Herd 17, even if it applies more rather than analysts and analysis that politics implementation critical to outcomes bringing false ideals separation is critical subtlety to discipline thinking is important balance. And from which individuals with approach and ability to synthesize very close relevance problems what they understand is policy analysts. It is big counter arguments to frame analysis, recognize alternative options of policy analysis, advance public debate, the problem of orientation, focuses, attention, social problems, not just expediency and analytic critical as intermediates, able to understand interpret the lid on top of your vertical level, connect page knowledge and analysis with policy. Existential threats are truly universal. Zimmer 22 beings in the process of the universal into this problem all human beings, even all complex subcommittees, after universal times of the political life, it's all means that thinkers should not be doing simply being anyone such or that comes to universality concerned by the future whiteness of the death of all living human beings, freedom and source of universalized belief, this being the response directly addressing force non-human universality that risen along the image of the age of the apocalypse. I'll send those. Okay. It's a new thing. I'm good for cross.
Okay. Perfect. Let me just get the timer. All right. I guess, what's the scenario for Turkey expanding into West Asia?
They're expanding into Syria, Greece, etc. That draws in France. Israel causes conflicts within NATO, causes conflicts with the US. That escalates. We've made reasons why France and Israel themselves would use nuclear weapons due to their internal military doctrines.
Okay. I guess the scenario for like expanding to Syria, how long have they been doing this, I guess?
Well, recently they've been expanding into like Syria and Greece, areas like Cyprus. Those are like small territorial conflicts that are evidence
Cyprus
isolated.
since 1974. I guess, what's the uniqueness for like the other?
Debatable. Our evidence says that right now is unique because Turkey's challenging boundaries and moving troops over the border, which has not happened
Which
since
evidence is that?
1974. The lead sauce card.
I guess that's from 4 years ago. I guess, do you have anything more recent claims in regards to like?
Well, the process of expanding is slow. Like it's a yearly process. It's not like instantly you just like go to France and suddenly all the troops move there. It's a slow process where you move to Syria, Greece, etc. But that has been happening since 2020, and right now is the brink.
Right. Okay, that's fine. I guess the France draw-in. What's the scenario for France getting involved?
Because conflicts are kind of in France's backdoor. Our evidence says that French escalate to de-escalate doctrine means that.
Where? Which conflicts do you think France gets drawn into?
Conflicts in like the Eastern Mediterranean.
Okay, like where?
Our evidence says the Black Sea, the Suez, because the Istanbul, Egypt, etc. That's of concern to France because oil and gas, EU trade. I'm reading from the card. These are all examples.
Which card is this?
It's a blockos. Like those are direct lines.
Okay. Cool. Then I guess the arguments about the Hamilton evidence. I guess can you explain this? Like what?
Yeah, there's like multiple political things that prevent Turkey from proliferating. One is that it would strain any relationship that they have with other NATO allies, not just the US. Two, it would jeopardize the possibility of EU membership. Three, Turkey has historically said that the NPT is irreplaceable and reaffirmed it, which means that any action would necessitate kind of a going back on their ideals, which not only causes discontent within the public, but also internationally. Okay. Four, it would cause strains on alliances. Five, cause partisanship. Six, cause sanctions, which collapses the Turkish economy.
Okay. That's fine then. I guess the Russia scenario, I guess, why does Russia decide to first strike?
Because they think we're going to strike them. Like, they missed.
What's the scenario for them thinking we're going to strike them?
Every time we fly a fighter jet over the region, Russia thinks we're going to pick up the bombs to drop on Moscow. That's destabilizing and causing them to first strike.
Okay. What's the scenario for us flying in like a jet to the region?
Our evidence says that it could be for multiple reasons. Could be like a routine overflight. Could be to reassure allies. It doesn't really matter because Russia would misperceive that no matter what.
Okay, that's fine then, I guess. The argument, I guess, what's the warrant for why Turkey gives nuclear weapons to Hamas?
Because they think Israel is a terrorist state and Hamas are resistance fighters.
Okay. Can I have the stand, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. The order will be 5 off, contention 1, contention 2. Oops. Okay. It's there when everybody is ready. Yeah. All right. Mute my timer, and then absent a verbal interruption, I will start. Okay. First off is the Ukrainian DA tax. Biden should veto the current Ukrainian bill. 8 passes now. Al Jazeera 420. House with broad bipartisan support passed Ukraine from Biden McConnell. Urging vote. Senate expected pass measure comes at a moment of great urgency. Military involvement in the Middle East is a hot button issue. The plan spurs long intense debate in aliens congressional members. Christensen 23. A bipartisan majority in both chambers intend on military involvement in the region. Republicans demonstrated unwillingness to withdraw. Most significant amendment reduction was the bipartisan and unanimous majority are not ready to leave the Middle East will be subject to disagreement debate in a long amendment process. House White demonstrated unwillingness to leave Syria and Somalia. Overwhelming bipartisan rejection confirmed that Congress approves military in the Middle East. Aid prevents nuclear war. Costs 411. Ukraine inextricably linked to strength of alliances and ally in which America borrows for strength, repents on credibility. Ukraine's effort to defend against Putin's advance degraded Russia's military and discourage aggression. If Putin succeeds, anxiety in Europe will grow and force NATO to increase defense, plunging the world into an arms race leading to world war. Not limited to Europe, China watching allies are too. Stakes are high. Placency in allowing naked territorial aggression, undermining NATO encouragement for China and abandonment would be colossal. And next off, military presence refers to troops. Engagement is a distinct term of art. Forney into Redio 1. Specific definitions define overseas presence military forces. We define engagement as U.S. military activities designed to enhance security, including training, education, security systems. Overseas presence forces are involved in conducting engagement activities, and it's limited to troops and infrastructure needed to sustain them. Crawford 03. Enemy defines presence away from the military forces overseas the infrastructure and business equipment necessary to sustain them, and which means the plan is extra topical because they remove nuclear weapons. That is the entire thesis of what I see. That's bad because it lets them spike out a neg offense and garner offense from an unlimited number of additional controversies somewhat related to the topic, and low neg for limits to ground and massive expensive top to all weapons infrastructure, which triples the case list, limits as an impact that outweighs too many firms kill quality of neg prep and make it hard to be neg. Drop the barrier and indict advocacy, use competing interpretations, reasonability is arbitrary and invite judge intervention, and next off. Despite S-400 purchase, Russian retaliation, transactional foreign policy, the alliance has strong been in several years. Ukraine, Gaza, open new windows of opportunity, Mammadov and Gusko over 18. Easily conclude as U.S. relations and relations Russian reality more complex. Ukrainians are open new windows of opportunity at the beginning of 2021 of a remarkably positive base for Turkey-U.S. relations after several challenging years of approval of exclusive membership followed by FCC's Turkey to Canada lifted arms embargoes. New and went further restoration of F-35 program. Biden de-escalating improved relations with Turkey despite F-400 bipartisan visits. 2 U.S. senators signals intention to mind ties with Ankara. Both see each other as key security partners. NATO, Ukraine, crucial not to conflate foreign policy, which becomes transactional security policy. Direction pragmatism keep Turkey anchored in the U.S.-led security architecture because there is no alternative. Withdrawing nukes from Turkey causes proliferation. Go for 18. U.S. nukes supported by Turkey and NATO and U.S. extended Turkey being U.S. pledges to protect Turkish interests with its own weapons, so Turkey not to deploy weapons of its own, suppress competitors in key regions. Competitors agree low arms race and raise costs of crises. Ground not a hand. Turkey says environmental nukes are abundant in the absence of credible U.S. deterrence. Turkey feel pressure to develop its own nukes that it is not, despite formidable engineering scientific capabilities. Illustrates the ability of Turkish, Russian, U.S. protective. Turkey developed other states obliged to acquire their own as insurance policy against extortion. Mousetrap effect. Drive other states. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Egypt, Algeria. Stable deterrence when number of factors gets larger becomes much more difficult. To imagine greater stability, wanted warning deployment postures. Arsenals are small and unpredictable countries. Loser. Little difference in control over Turkish and Iranian. Turkey could develop wars within 2 years. One could imagine simultaneous Turkish and Iranian nuclear weapons would be very dangerous. Any weakening of the structure of the U.S. alliance system diminishes the reputation of the U.S. government and its ability to protect friends. If Turkey would evolve away effects on the environment in Europe and Near East, instead of Turkey being a coherent power, it would play an independent device of world war. The partnership to end its geostrategic landscape would be transferred. Destruction. Iranian and Turkish nuclear war would cause booze everyone to do everything possible to prevent development, includes not doing remove nuclear weapons from Turkey, let alone actually doing what the most powerful motivating force behind Turkey is to build nuclear weapons. And no matter how bad related, or actually skip the next card, and acquisition would be easy. Goshel 20. Turkey is developing missiles that re-nuclear capable solution of the U.S. B-61 is question raised about future presence. Turkey proceeded with co-op on nuclear energy with Russia. Turkey could acquire nukes from Pakistan in 2020 to enhance Pakistan when need arise. Would provide nuclear weapons. Saudi Arabia. Little believe Pakistan would not indulge in similar region with Turkey. Little believes long as it could acquire know-how from Pakistan. Possessive reactors get game expertise to pursue in their own country. Turkey goes nuclear. Code 16. The nuclear balance between stable and lack safeguards, including the absence of communication short time, the lack of science capabilities, the culture that emphasizes preemptive Turkey acquired nukes. The polynuclear Middle East might be the most likely candidate for nuke war. And next off, interrupt apps must reduce military presence in the entire region. In words and phrases 08, Indian throughout region. Dictionary no date is in the entirety of an era, negating limits to ground spec, expose limits to every individual response to the country, average moods, neg prep, and skews, ground based on perceptions of large withdrawals, crossed by everything else. On case. 1. The Russia advantage is stumped by 2 years of Ukraine and faulty. Take makes it inevitable. Insert Peninsula in blue, shipward 22, and the Russia will first strike Crystal 18. Including Louis, there's a small chance America would war. He will not attack on World War III again. He can push back against aggression without triggering war. Russians are not automatons whose only reaction is nuke war. They value their lives. History shows conflict between nuclear powers does not lead to nuke war. The U.S. managed to contain the Soviet Union for decades without going nuclear. Sign 16 is from before Ukraine. The crisis they're talking about should have been the actual war. And independently, the scenario is so fake because of the fact that if they're right that we fly planes in all the time, then Russia strike should have already happened. And Russia does not risk or actually skip the next card. Will go on to no nuke stealing and no impact rocketway 20. It's unlikely because when we only areas made of all defenses, surveillance soldiers, recent upgrades, you can't use the bombs feature, disabled. The idea of stealing nuclear weapons has been pop culture, and there's no warrant for trading. There's just because they think Israel is bad, it's all political posturing, not a reason why they would give it to Hamas. No new tariff at West 19. Despite projected Duke's management capabilities, modern terrorist fear that acknowledge in tech became accessible, not state actors remain a dream, nor a reservoir material black market waiting to weaponize would not experience any close calls regarding nuke terror, given complexity, expect errors, near misses, perceived successes, no attempts to construct or steal or purchase nukes, much less struggle, and detonate, which is not a problem. Pessimistic projections not borne out by events. And on the expansion event, official statements prove there's no revisionism or adventurism. Erdogan's rhetoric has shifted after Sweden vote 221. Significant momentum in relations following Sweden. You feel new purposeful good feeling in the relationship after talks with Turkish leaders. Erdogan spoke positive from U.S. sanctions, chilled Turkish-Russian trade. Sweden made it clear to work closely, find path forward on S-45. And their cards about revisionism and expansionism are wrong. They've been in Cyprus since the 1970s. And the scenario about involving in Syria is fake because they've been involved since the start of the civil war, which is over a decade ago. The Greece scenario is also wrong because if they're right about Turkey wanting to join the EU, then they won't attack Greece. And independently, Edelman is wrong. So your disagreements about S-400, our evidence accounts for everything else. Is foreign policy that doesn't directly impact troops, so it doesn't matter. For 4 more recent examples, and the same with the cost and enlistment card. Newer alliance measures prove the alliance is up. Expansion, or actually skip that. Israel response is limited, no US strong, keep it all. Except Israel responds to wrong, limited in scope, and involves strikes the other side of Iran. Assessment based on conventions between Israeli officials. Biden called for restraint after because the attack did not result in Israeli deaths or widespread destruction. Israel responded with one of its less aggressive options: response to target strike shipments or facilities. US does not intend to take part in response to expect Israel to share information with Washington in advance. The France scenario is fake. The author's only explanation for why conflict is likely is that Macron exposed Turkey on Facebook almost 4 years ago, forced them to read an actual scenario for Turkish-France war. Insert in yellow. And the evidence is about France's failure of a nuclear doctrine, which the plan can't solve, and also doesn't mention Turkey once. It's from 2017, and the internal link is from 2020, which should disprove any risk of the French first strike. They also don't have a scenario. They couldn't name a country France cares about enough to get involved. Back to the Russia thing. They're going to say, like, at any time we could do it, which justifies, like, a brink argument, but this is silly because if we do fly in planes all the time, 1, they have no scenario for when we fly in planes. 2, if they're right and we fly in planes before, and Russia didn't first strike because they know we're not going to nuke them.
Good for cross.
I want to get my mouse on my backpack. Let me move the camera. I am good.
Okay. Status of the Biden should veto counter plan.
Status quo, always a walk.
Okay. The Prolif DA, are you agreeing that Turkey cannot domestically proliferate? Because you haven't read a card that says they can.
Yeah, we have.
The Goshal card says they could buy it from Pakistan or Russia.
It says that they could acquire capabilities. The Garfinkel evidence says they have.
Garfinkel, can you read? The Garfinkel evidence assumes they have capabilities. No line in it says that they have uranium, fissile material, nuclear delivery, reactors, any of that.
I mean, I feel like they could get know-how from like trading information with other countries.
So it relies on Pakistan or Russia giving them that know-how.
Well, no, I feel like the Garfinkel card also says, quote,
yeah,
despite formidable engineering and scientific capacities.
But it doesn't explain what those are, and you haven't responded to one ECM that they don't have nuclear reactors, uranium, fissile material, etc. So,
I feel like that's implicated by the evidence on this app. Like,
okay, so the card just asserting that they can proliferate is sufficient.
I mean, it says they have the capabilities.
Okay, the Turkey prolifing, Erdogan restrained by a desire to preserve the nuclear guarantee. If that is true, and
which card are you asking about?
Like the Garfinkel.
Okay, yeah.
If Erdogan wants allied assurances, why would he proliferate knowing that would like destroy NATO, that would mean that he doesn't get any other allies with the EU, etc.?
He would proliferate because he feels like the US is no longer interested.
Okay, so because he's afraid of the US alliance collapsing, he's going to destroy every other alliance he has?
I mean, I feel like it would cause him to behave in ways that might be irrational as a result of fearing.
Wait, but you've said Erdogan cares about alliances over everything else. I don't know why that's unique to the US-Turkey alliance, given that they have security agreements with other allies.
I mean, I feel like the U.S. alliance, the U.S. is the only country that has nukes there to protect them, which means that it's a link differential.
Turkey's in NATO, has Article 5, Turkey wants to join the EU, all of those countries are for
Well, Article 5 only matters because they think that we have stuff there to support them in the event they get attacked.
That's not how Article 5 works. We have Article 5 agreements.
Well, it's about the credibility of the Article 5.
Okay, T in, actually, this is the dumb argument. The Biden-Ukraine DA, like this link card is just about like involvement in the Middle East. It's about the counterterrorism AUMF. We don't do counterterror in Turkey. Like, how is this a link?
I mean, I think we actually do use bases in Turkey for counterterror against like ISIS.
I've never read a card that says that.
I think that it's about military presence broadly and how there's debates. If you think that considering Congress' disagreements about aid to Israel,
I'm reading lines. Your evidence cites Iraq, cites Syria. I see Israel. I don't see
Those are all reasons why Congress does not want to remove military presence in the region broadly. It might not say Turkey.
Why is the plan perceived as removal broadly? It's just in Turkey.
Well, it's perceived as removing. Removing is unpopular.
So this requires meaning that Congress thinks that removing from Turkey means they're going to remove from Israel, Iraq, Syria, etc.
It says Congress does not want to remove anything. Like, I feel like
we remove some troops and now suddenly they don't pass Ukraine aid. Like that's seriously that's.
I mean, I feel like we remove nukes, a bunch of troops, bases. Like I feel like those are large things from an ally, and they would like be mad.
That's fine. I'll start start from like 410. I'll send it. It's sent. I'll just start from. You didn't read the last off in the doc, right?
The last what?
Off in the doc.
No.
Okay. It's case, T presence, T in, Ukraine, prologue.
It's case, T presence, and then what?
T in, Ukraine, prologue. In case is Russia, then it's right.
Okay. Case, T in. Sorry, I zoned out. Can you just say it?
Case, T presence, T in, the Ukraine DA, Republic DA. Russia, this ninth number is irrelevant because Russia's vulnerable now to Ukraine, and Ukraine did not cause it because we have not flown jets in the region, but we will in the future, and very soon. The non first strike argument does not assume miscalc argument is that even if Russia is rational, they wouldn't miscalc if we think that we're going to drop bombs on them. Sign being before Ukraine is irrelevant because Ukraine provides uniqueness. They have dropped that Russia is overstretched right now, and Ukraine is the scenario for that. We don't fly planes all the time. We fly them for allied influences, but we will do that soon in the future, especially because they dropped the tensions are high in the area of Turkey right now. No theft. Yes, we agree it's not terrorism theft, but that Turkey controls the base, electricity, has staged coups in the past, cruise capability, which is all dropped from our proven evidence. The argument about why they wouldn't give it to Hamas, yes, they would, because they dropped because our evidence says that Turkey supports Hamas because they think that Israel are a terrorist state. No terrorism impact does not assume giving bombs to them. They dropped the brass evidence which says they cause extinction. Also, Russian war caused extinction. It's the only scenario for extinction because they dropped that only they have arsenals large enough, which is that the DAs can't rise to the scale of it. The brink argument is silly. This just is not an argument and answer about all the other arguments. The expansion is advantage. Yes, Turkey is revisionist. They've dropped the Shahid evidence which says that diplomacy fails because Turkey just lies to our face. Revisionism is wrong. Cyprus. All of these are analytical arguments that are not carded, and we have evidence that says that right now it is expanding because they're expanding right now to revisionist tendencies because they see it as an advantage. The Adelan evidence is wrong. It will be on the DA Israel. The Israel link. I'm not even sure what this proves. It does not mean anything because our argument is in the context of the U.S.-Turkey alliance. France would intervene. It says that Suez, oil, etc. are all key. That means that it causes nuclear war. The president's argument counter to military presence includes assets, but excludes obstacles and all two definitions. Military presence is military assets, great non-combat activities, and activities the U.S. uses to implement military security agendas. The umbrella. These would have to demonstrate U.S. movement and our ability to defend U.S. interests, capable use military assets. Precision goes out. They don't believe in the legal definition of evidence. Result in defining overseas presence on military standards. One topic at the nurture reduces all advantage to conventional standards, which reverse large South American military force abroad. That makes debate still in Syria, Iraq, and around two functional limits, track deterrence, proliferation, etc. All based on the signal of U.S. withdrawal, no troops, no ground offense because the biggest form of American policy abroad, reasonability with violent ability, tricky to avoid subject guidance, also Dutch invention, RBIs, the winners overcover topicality, which means that it's key to response, key to fairness, TEN. We need Africans throughout West Asia, and needs a sign of Western. The data looking inside with the standard one class, reduce it up to one app, which is basically only needs an egg, always wins. Two pigs means that again, it's infinite picks out of each country, but it's impossible for the app to answer. Ukraine. Ukraine, a passage example of 2019, the U.S. House exception, 18% of everyone's passed with those each which ensures by force support was not that making the key indicator of those will back needed. Cut the credit needed. The burden is to establish the link. Presence in Syria, Iraq, etc. is much more important. Congress evidence by the counterterrorism AUF, which has nothing to do with Turkey. Since we don't do counter there are B-61s on Pablo, Aklan 15. The government has considered B-61s to be new common currency, effective money, more weapons, using more accurate, proper balls, more likely to be used to BC's 147 price I make the most nuclear bomb ever. Conditionality money for class force to argue multiple layers, which kills Tashi card is 2 in our contradictions, especially like in this round. NATO and Germany supply Luke 419. NATO will give Ukraine more advanced air defense after please speaking with the summit. Some of NATO ministers agree to stop military support. Cut the card of military support. The proliferate. 1. Turkey cannot domestic capability. No infrastructure for mining, uranium conversion, or fabrication. Dropped out of the Alkes evidence. Garfield has no warrants. Weapons are not symbolic. Lewis 16. Weapons are no purpose. Regardless of liability, we're told weapons are principle of the bomb symbolize their ability to look at stockpiles have no purpose. No proliferate allied cascades. For mid-19, we're pulling out the alliance research suggests that overstate the U.S. and withdraw force from Britain, Korea, others not DJs, the last large risk to ensure key tries cards and by naming certain their cousins will prevent the floaters of tools to Turkey. The U.S. will not will answer Pakistan transfer here. Their evidence concludes at both Turkey and Pakistan would face huge international backlash. We inserted their evidence in green. They also dropped our card that says that Turkey would never proliferate because they know that they would get sanctions, collapse their economy, etc. No Pakistan transfer. Bottom 15 Pakistan is under pressure to ensure non factory Pakistan progress. India Cyprian has its not to transfer weapons. No Russia shift. TPF 19 despite a combination of crystal diversion, Black Sea, Russia, Turkey, Venus, and Crimea. Turkey refuses to recognize the Peninsula. Second, Congress supports to try to keep powers out. Go out the card of powers out alliance. It's collapsing now. Revisionism means that every next example is Turkey pulling the wool over Biden's eyes. The alliance is collapsing now. Drop that they're airstriking U.S. allies in Syria, arresting civilians, etc., which is element. Their evidence by U.S. ambassadors and diplomats who have an incentive to lie. The U.S. sanctioned Turkey to dumps the DA. Bureau 321. Effective sanction efforts in Turkey and Germany that helped Iran to develop nuclear progress. The compass network of airways companies based in Turkey station include NATO likes the plan, which means no allied proliferation in 19 argument against withdrawal, which all Turkey dominant factories and limited office holders and NATO withdrawal collapse in NATO. If they believe what is important, that they will say extended deterrence can be maintained with advanced conventional forces. No impact. Baller 17 consequences of have been denied along with Walker decades, along with prediction by cascades. Dominance and proof faulty world has had little consequences because countries have had rational leaders, nothing considered well to go without backs and a products they should be able to deliver for 7 years.
Okay. 5 minutes of prep starting, 5 minutes of prep starting now. Only reasons to drop the debater were conditionality and the RBI right?
Yeah.
What was the warrant for the RBI?
It's a no-risk issue for the net key to reciprocity, which is the strongest internal defense.
Okay. was the condo standard again?
Forces to argue multiple layers which kills clash, causes contradictions.
Okay. The order will be, okay, it'll just be Ukraine, or it'll be topicality, Ukraine disadvantage. Okay, it'll be T, military presence, Ukraine disadvantage. And then it'll be the prolif disadvantage, the Russia advantage, and then the extension advantage. Okay. Is anybody not ready? Okay.
First, on topicality, not going for it, but I'll answer their RBI argument here. It's nonsense. They don't get to win for being fair. The burden on them is to justify why the affirmative is topical. They say that it makes it a no-risk option, but it is their burden to establish topicality, and that means that it's not a no-risk option, but rather necessary to test if the app was engageable. They say reciprocity, but that's nonsense and answered by the burdens argument.
You're not voting on RBI, proceed.
The counterplan, not going for it, will concede that Ukraine doesn't pass. I'll answer conditionality here. Counter-interpretation, the status quo is always a logical option. The net benefit is negative flexibility. Counterplans act as a functional limit on topics without disadd uniqueness, which is necessary to engage with the affirmative on multiple levels and forces apps to write better plans which have plan key warrants, which is necessary for any external impact debate. 2 is logic. A logical actor could choose not to do the plan, which means that proving that something else is bad doesn't prove why the plan is good. I'll answer their offense here. First, we'll concede reasonability from topicality, which means that if the debate was not impossible, which it wasn't because it was only one conditional advocacy, then you should not vote affirmative on this. They say that it just forces them to answer stuff on multiple layers, but there will inevitably have to answer multiple layers because there's multiple different types of arguments in debate, which would still exist independently of conditionality, but they also said something about how it forces contradictions, but not crossifying stuff between sheets solves this, and reasonability means you're not voting on it. The disadd. Turkish proliferation outweighs, it's way more likely. Kronig says that Middle East prolif is the most likely candidate for nuclear war, which is an internal link differential between their defense, which is about proliferation broadly, and proliferation in the Middle East. It says this because of short flight times and high instability, like rivalries between the regional adversaries, and it's very fast. Gushel says that if Turkey decides that it wants nukes, it reaches out to Pakistan and could get them easily, or they could get scientific capabilities from other actors, even if that's wrong. Garfinkel says that they have the capacity to do so within 2 years of their own, and Gushel also says that they have domestic nuclear reactors. We'll do the Deterrence case stuff on the case, so I'll do the Weimelin here. First, they say Turkey can't domestically proliferate, but the stuff they said about lack of infrastructure is wrong because they conceded from the Gushel evidence that Turkey has the infrastructure because they have their own reactors now, which means that they're sort of able to do this. They can get the fissile materials from other countries because their defense is about transfers of a weapon broadly, not the materials themselves, which means that other countries could say that they're only doing it to help with civilian programs, not military nuclear programs. 1 or 2 was weapons aren't symbolic and that Turkey doesn't want them. This is wrong. Yes, they have a purpose. Garfield says it acts as a symbol of extended deterrence, and it's necessary. Obviously, they're very important if Russia fears them enough, which is their case argument for why they're definitely usable. They have no warrant for why the Turkish government sees them that way, whereas our evidence is indicative of them being very important for Turkey's internal perception of security is constrained on their behavior now, which would go away. 1 or 3 was no proliferate would cascade. Other countries aren't in the neighborhood. The countries their evidence sites aren't in the same neighborhood as Turkey, which means that in the Middle East, it's not about the Middle East, which is internally differential. South Korea, we still have thousands of troops there. The UK did proliferate, which means this is wrong, and they're also an island unconnected to anywhere else. It doesn't assume Turkey is specifically an area where they're surrounded by countries that they're enemies with. The Pakistan stuff, they said that our evidence says that it wouldn't do it and that it would face backlash, but it doesn't assume the fact that Turkey would be willing to do so. They don't necessarily care about the backlash because they would believe it's necessary for their own security. Also, the rehighlighting is rhetorical, not zero. They dropped that Turkey has their own nuclear reactors now from the same card, and Pakistan has an incentive to help them with technical know-how due to their alliance. They say Pakistan doesn't transfer, even if they don't give it to them, they would still help with the materials of it, not the weapons themselves, and this is about Saudi Arabia, which means that it is a different scenario. Next, they say that Russia doesn't help, but that does not assume the link wherein it sort of means that that Turkey would seek new allies. The alliance uniqueness stuff, we'll answer it here. We'll extend our uniqueness arguments from the one entity. Our uniqueness evidence is better than theirs. It says that despite all these sort of alliance disagreements, that they are better now because of 2024. It says that there's been multiple situations where the S-400 deal was canceled, and also says that Turkey is not interested in hedging against the U.S. right right now. Our Garfinkel evidence also makes a unique claim that Turkey is not interested in doing this so long as they believe that the sort of U.S. is giving them support. Also, independently of this, it says that Ukraine and Israel, their support of Ukraine is shown that they're interested in maintaining the alliance. Their examples are all wrong because they're all just reasons about, they say pulling wool over Biden's eyes, but that's wrong. They don't have a warrant for why that's specifically distinct. They say alliance collapse is structurally inevitable without an impact to it. The next argument that they make is the argument about, they said that our diplomats have incentive to lie. They haven't explained specifically why they don't have a warrant for why they're incentive to lie. The sanction stuff also doesn't apply. They say no impact to prolife. I'll answer that here. The no impact to prolife stuff is wrong because it doesn't assume Middle Eastern proliferation. It also doesn't assume that new proliferating countries, especially in an area with regional adversaries, is more likely to happen because first-gen proliferators don't know nuclear norms. Our Middle East stuff is contextual to it, which means go to the app. The Russia scenario is fake. There's no reason why there would be a scenario for flying and stuff. They said that it's more likely now, but we'll extend that Russia does not first strike, which was in the 1 and C. The Russia first strike stuff is wrong because our evidence specifically says that Russia is afraid of the U.S. retaliating, which means that they don't have this sort of try or die logic that the affirmatives characterize them as, because they don't want the U.S. to fight them. They know they'll probably lose because they're outnumbered, which means there isn't a risk of Russia first strike. They're going to blow up this B-61 stuff, but that's wrong because the U.S. would obviously respond. Russia wouldn't do that. They said it doesn't assume miscalc, but miscalc doesn't happen because Russia has to choose to strike first. That's their scenario. That stuff, they said that they see Israel as bad and that Israel is a bad actor, but that's just political. They dropped that that's just political posturing. Advantage 2 is super simple. The stuff that they said is that we didn't read cards, but these are intuitive examples. The Syrian civil war factually started 10 years ago. Turkey has been involved the whole time, which means that there's no criminal impact of that. The France scenario, they just assert that their card says it. They don't have a reason France to necessarily get involved. The Israel stuff, they didn't extend a scenario for. They just said that we didn't read cards, but like these are logical arguments. Their card is 4 years old. Turkey has not done any of that yet. Our uniqueness stuff flips that. And revisionism is only worse in the world of the app because they're unconstrained by alliance.
I have 4 of 5.
Case always deterrence the DA1 is bad to U.S. special war is the only scenario for extinction. The two largest nuclear powers in the world. They dropped the one-year extension of the 1 combat evidence. Only the U.S. Russia have their arsenals large enough to cause extinction. Magnitude outweighs even if the DA happens first. Extinction outweighs and we live past it. 2 is probability. The DA is so low. They have made too many technical concessions. Both for the 1 and the 1 year. U.S. Russia war is likely. Ukraine provides uniqueness. Systems are vulnerable now, which is the dropped argument. No 2 in our impact calculus returns case arguments means that it's sufficient for you to check out on case outweighs. They say it's fake. They say flying is fake. Yes, flying scenario dropped. Pick up a drop posture. Science says that routine overflights to reassure allies or test flight capabilities can be perceived as an attempt to pick up the bombs to drop on Moscow, which causes destabilization, causes Russia to first strike. The Russia afraid of retaliation argument is irrelevant. They dropped the 1 year response, which is that even if Russia is rational, does not want war, they will. If they think that the U.S. is going to first strike them, then they have no option. They have no choice because they perceive war to be inevitable. They say the U.S. would respond. Irrelevant. It's the same as the above. They say Moscow would not happen. Yes, Moscow dropped. Russian surveillance is vulnerable now due to overstretch in Ukraine, which is our uniqueness argument, and answers their argument about and answers their grandstanding about how old Stein is because it does not matter. Stein is a structural argument, but Ukraine is our uniqueness, which is from 1 year ago. They say 4 years old. This was on the other DA. Advantage can see the other advantage not going for the DA. There's no impact to the DA. They can win every argument about how the plan destroys the U.S.-Turkey alliance, but it's irrelevant to proliferation possible. 1, no domestic proliferation. The 1C, all of this was dropped in the 1C. 2 in our spin is new and uncarded. They do not have uranium, fissile material, and reactors are privately owned. Even if they do somehow have all of that, they have dropped that they do not have delivery systems, so nuclear weapons can never be used, even if they develop them. Even if they develop them. 2, no Pakistan sellings. The scenario is fake. We have recut the 1C Ghoshal evidence says that Pakistan would face heavy sanctions. They've also dropped the Bono evidence, which says that Pakistan would never do it because even if they might be slight allies, they would destroy their economy, which means that they have no incentive. 3, no Russia shift. They've dropped that. They've functionally dropped the GPF evidence. Diverging interest in Crimea, Caucasus, and Black Sea Center means that Russia will never give it to them. That zeroes the DA. Their cascade scenario requires Turkey to proliferate first, and then Cryan says that will cause proliferation in the Middle East, but that all requires Turkey to develop nuclear capability somehow. Now, the DA itself, they've also dropped the 1 year extension of the 1 Hamilton evidence. Turkey would never proliferate because they know that they themselves would domestically face sanctions, never be invited into the EU, and face threats from steps from NATO. They say that Pakistan or other actors would give it. The 2 has no reason why Pakistan has an incentive to provide them. They just said that, quote, to their allies, that is not a warrant. We've made sufficient reasons why Pakistan would never do that. They say they have domestic nuclear reactors. It is not sufficient. They need fissile materials. They need uranium delivery capabilities, etc. None of that is sufficient. And 1C AUKUS is so much better than this one line in Ghoshal evidence. Independently, there is no link. We are going for nuclear weapons are not symbolic. Turkey cannot use the weapons themselves. The reason that the U.S. houses them is for U.S. stability and so that the U.S. can attack Russia. Or Lewis evidence is that Turkey themselves have no capability to use the nukes, so they are not a deterrent or a protector of Turkey. Turkey does not view them that way because they know that those nukes cannot be used unless by the U.S., which means that the U.S. moving those nukes does not happen. This is empirically proven. We have withdrawn them from South Korea, Greece, and every other NATO ally. They have not proliferated. The 2 in our response is that UK proliferated. That was for other reasons. That is not a warrant. Our evidence says that the nukes are not symbolic because the only reason that they are there is for U.S. power protection, not for Turkey deterrence. So Turkey has no reason to proliferate post-Fed. No impact calc. Case so high. Even if you think that these analytic arguments are somewhat true. DA fake. No impact. Case always. Good thing.